Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome once again to Change the Questions, the show where we take a question each episode and answer it thoroughly. My name is Paul Laporte. Joining me, as always, is my co-host Mike Miner.
Hello, guys.
And the question we'll be asking today is, it's a fun one. This is one that I think, this falls into those categories of discussions I think everybody's had with their group of friends or something like that. We don't do too many favorites on the show, but I thought that this was kind of a good one to start that off. And with the Hall of Fame coming up and everything looking back, it's fun to kind of look in your favorites of the past. So the question we are going to be answering today is, what is your favorite finishing move? Now, of course, I guess we don't really normally we have to give like some sort of explainer or clarification.
We can even debate this one too against
Right.
each other, and
like what's
your finisher is crappy. I
right,
don't
but
like
it's
it.
like everybody knows what a finishing move is,
Yeah.
so we don't really need to be like, so for the purposes of this discussion, a finishing move, we know what a finishing move is. It's a signature move, something that a wrestler is commonly known for. So let's just go ahead and get. I don't think we're going to be able to nail down one.
Tully Blanchard with the slingshot suplex.
So I think this is going to mainly just
Facetious.
it's the teardrop suplex.
Yeah, the
So,
teardrop
like,
suplex.
I don't think we're going to probably nail down just one, but I think this is kind of a fun discussion to rattle off some of our favorites. So let's go ahead and start it off, Miner. What are some of yours, and maybe we can narrow it down.
Well, you know what? Let's start it with the Phoenix Splash. That's one of my favorites. Seeing Hayabusa do that was impressive, and seeing Seth Rollins do it present day is impressive, and it's always been a favorite of mine. That's just one of them. We're gonna rattle off a bunch of them, so why not? What about you? Let's shoot this back and forth.
So I guess to try and start things off, I should probably name a particular subset of finisher.
Yeah.
My favorite,
that's,
my
I should
favorite,
mention that.
Yeah, my favorite types of finishing moves tend to be strike finishes.
I see where you're going with this.
Just for the simple fact that they come out of nowhere, they can be used in a wide variety of situations. There isn't require a lot of setup, and they tend to be the most realistic looking.
I see where you're going with this.
Do you see where I'm going?
Yeah, I
with
see
this?
where you're going with it.
All right.
Tiki boot.
Tiki boot. Not quite.
But seriously, is it the lariat?
Yes. So very topical, considering Stan was just inducted today. I don't know.
I'm with you.
It's up there, but certainly I don't know if it's my full stop favorite, but one of my very favorites for sure is
It's
of course,
because you clobber the hell out of the guy and you make it look serious.
Hall of Fame inductee Stan Hansen's lariat.
He broke Bruno Sammartino's neck with it, man.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
It is one of those ones that has
brutal.
One hell of a reputation to it, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard the story, but for those of you who have not, one of the reasons that Stan Hansen's lariat was so brutal, and for those of you who don't know what it is, it's a running clothesline, really a clothesline that can be delivered from multiple amounts of situations, but usually it's a case where Stan Hansen would Irish whip a guy into the ropes, run towards him, bang, hit him with his left arm, which he had a iconic blue elbow pad on, and nail the guy. And it looked like if you look at clotheslines today, even like impressive ones where like the guy flips over or whatever, they don't look like they have as much impact as this clothesline did. Like this clothesline, almost at times when it hits, the lariat looked clumsy.
It doesn't help that the guy was damn near blind.
Right, well, that's where I'm getting to. The reason that it looked so clumsy is because Stan Hansen was insanely nearsighted. Like, really borderline blind nearsighted. And rather than wearing contacts, he decided, like, fuck it, I'm just gonna swing somewhere in the proximity of this dude and hope he doesn't die. So, it led to and actually if you go over to the website, I did post an article with a really great highlight video of Stan Hansen hitting this, and it never looks the same twice, but it always looks brutal. It always looks like terrifying. Some modern contemporaries of strike finishers. Of course, Sweet Chin Music is certainly worth mentioning. And the Bomaye from Shinsuke Nakamura, which is my current favorite. For the
straight up knee strike.
Again, just for the simple fact, it's nothing fancy, it's nothing special. You just run at a guy, bang, you clobber him, and then that's the end of the match. And I really like those because they're just something that are so effective, so simple. There's not a lot of setup required, so very rarely does it look sloppy. And even if it does, it still looks good because it's still basically connected.
Yeah, speaking of clotheslines, I mean, you got a range of them that from a bunch of different guys. It's nothing really the same twice, but there's inspirations like Stan Hansen to JBL. when he was
Yeah,
doing
of
the
course,
Just Talk
JBL,
branch out thing. He
yeah.
kept that finish from
The clothesline from hell,
his earlier
of course.
days and kept it going. You got a guy on the indie scene, Brute Van Slyke.
Yep.
He's another one that's taken a huge inspiration from Stan Hansen. You have
Nigel McGuinness, who
Nigel
used the
McGuinness,
Jawbreaker
Jawbreaker
lariat
lariat.
in a variety of different functions, mainly, and that's carried over to Dean Ambrose, who does a similar one with the rebound from the ropes. Nigel McGuinness also had a variation where he would crotch the guy on the top rope,
which was
and then hop off the
very,
second rope,
very,
basically,
very sick looking.
Basically, a
Just blast him.
one man doomsday device, essentially.
Yeah, basically, and you got the Dynamite Kid back in the day who would just hook it and then just.
Yeah, and then
nearly take the guy's head and jaw off.
Yeah, Kenta Kobashi.
Kobashi, that's another one. One of my favorites right there.
ones.
Speaking of Kobashi, another one of mine, and it's extremely dangerous and pulled out in a rare situation. The Burning Hammer. Yeah.
Yes.
Sick looking move, but very, very risky. Only the right guy could take it without breaking his neck. Misawa was one of them. Oh, God, those guys put each other through
I think
hell.
it's only the Burning Hammer from Kobashi was only used 8 times.
Yeah, very rarely. And
very, very rarely.
Made a much bigger impact when it was used and was brought out.
Yeah, I mean, there were some indie guys who definitely did it more, but they also tended to do it an honestly safer way of usually flipping the guy over instead of just dropping him straight down on the back of their head. And that was really, for those, again, clarifying, the Burning Hammer was essentially a reverse Death Valley driver, where instead of having the guy face down across your shoulders, you would have him face up across your shoulders.
Basically in a torture rack situation.
A torture rack style. And then you would just kind of tilt him vertical and drop him down on the back of his head. And
so not any of that John Cena stuff where, he kind of just does
it's a fireman. Yeah, John Cena is like a fireman's carry
into like kind of like a power slam a little bit, but this is just straight up like the guy goes vertical and just comes down on his head.
Yeah.
Like, imagine a brainbuster, except a lot worse looking.
Like a brainbuster, except less safe.
You can see it. Backdrop driver's another one.
All of those backdrop suplexes and side
brutal,
suplexes that are done in Japan are all great.
But you know what? It's just to a point now where sometimes I'm like, it's probably not too safe, and you want to have these guys go on as long as they can. But if it's done rarely, and like I said, with the Burning Hammer, it was done to with such rarity that
And the funny thing is that all of these moves, for as dangerous as they look, and honestly as dangerous as they were, very few wrestlers in Japan, had broken necks or had to have neck surgery or whatever, because I think of the reduced schedule and the focus more on core strength than cosmetic strength.
God,
I think
Masato Tanaka. Remember Masato Tanaka taking those nasty suplexes from Mike Awesome and the power bombs and everything, just darting them to the outside through tables onto the concrete.
Another one that can fall under the used extremely rarely but looks absolutely devastating when it hits is the Steiner screwdriver.
Yeah,
which actually most recently pulled out by Cage in Lucha Underground against Joey Ryan, which looked fantastic. And for those of you who don't know, Steiner screwdriver starts off as a vertical suplex, and then the guy is basically tossed into a sit-out tombstone pile driver.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal looking.
Scott Steiner pulled it out a handful of times. If you YouTube it, you can see the footage of him doing it. And a number of wrestlers have done it since, but very rarely. Cage is one of those ones who's strong enough to pull it off and still have it look good. It is just one of those ones, again, that just looks like the Burning Hammer. You just look like the guy is dead.
It looks like he's
and it's
broke
amazing.
his neck.
Like how did the guy survive this? It's really one of those ones. Now that kind of drifts into the how do you feel about
pile drivers? I'm for it. Tombstone pile driver. Banned in Mexico.
Specifically, this one is one that I swear is like the benchmark for finishers that people either love or people hate. The Canadian Destroyer. How do you feel about it? Because a lot of people think this move looks awesome, and then other people think this is the worst fucking move in professional wrestling.
I guess it has its place, but you know what? It's when the guy's just standing there, and then let's say regular pile driver position. It's all absurd looking anyway, every bit of it. So, but you know what? It's one step.
I guess
beyond.
We can also classify the Meltzer driver into this as well.
Yeah,
we could kind of put those both in this discussion.
Yeah, but it's like one step beyond, I guess, of ridiculous because you have to suspend your imagination by this guy is going to take him, he's going to bend him over, stick his head essentially between his crotch, maybe do some showmanship, and then, pick him up, maybe power drive him, maybe power bomb him, that kind of thing. You have to suspend your belief right there. But
so you think that the flip is a bridge too far, basically?
Maybe is, but you know what? I've seen Petey Williams do it where he's done it kind of like a sunset flip.
Right.
Where he ran, and that to me looks a million times better. But
the thing is like with moves like that, and then Drago and I think maybe Will Ospreay, some other people do a running flip DDT where like guy bends down, you run, and then flip him over, and it's kind of a similar thing. And the thing is like, I don't know, like that bothers a lot of people, but to me, those moves are predominantly seen in cruiserweight matches.
Yeah.
Where your suspension of disbelief should be out the fucking window anyway. So like the stuff they're doing, nobody has any real reason to do in a fight. So I just kind of disqualify that. The biggest criticism of the Undertaker or the Meltzer driver is that the Young Bucks do. I'm not going to describe that one. Look it up if you don't know what it is. I'm done describing things. Is that it doesn't end a match often enough or whatever, but it's usually the Young Bucks do it in some sort of multi-man match, like multi-team match, and then like if it doesn't end the match, then the pin gets broken up, and then a person has time to recover. You can make your criticisms about indie wrestling being, like a spot fest as it is, which I don't mind, but some people do.
Two count, yeah. 2 count after another, and
however, getting into a similar move, but I think a much better one. Honestly, like Lariat's up there, but this one just came to my head.
Don't you say it?
I don't.
Don't you say it? What are you going to say? What are you going to say?
I'm not going to say it. I guarantee I'm not going to say what you think I say.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the Lariat is right up there with me, and it is like number 1A in terms of my favorite finishers. The Chaos Theory suplex. That Doug Williams and most recently Chad Gable did, probably the best version of ever on a recent episode of NXT
against
in English.
Yeah,
and that
was really impressive.
Yeah, you have a reverse waist lock on the guy, you run him into the turnbuckle, you roll backwards with him, pull deadlift in between your legs, and go over in a German suplex. And I've seen different people do it, and when it's done at its best, it's done all in one continuous motion.
Yeah.
And
he's got him in a prone hold. No, wait, he keeps going. German suplex.
It looks absolutely beautiful.
A high-angle German suplex is what he hit him with the last time, which is impressive,
Chad Gable looked like if he let go of Aiden English, like he was going into the fucking lights.
Remember the head drop I was talking about earlier from the Burning Hammer and the backdrop driver? Yeah, that was what was going to happen.
Gable looked like he had to pull him in to prevent him from fucking entering orbit from that thing. So the Chaos Theory is
your name isn't Neville. Gravity applies to you.
Gravity remembered Aiden English.
Yeah.
So what do you think I was gonna say?
Package pile driver, I thought, because we were on the subject of pile drivers.
Yeah. So, I do like the package. I do like the package pile driver.
That to me was more credible than the I'm talking about credibility here. Like I said, you got to suspend your belief for this stuff, but it's one of those moves that you could kind of cinch on a guy quick. You tuck the arm, you just grab him under the knees, and you just kind of do it quick.
I mean, the thing with pile driver variations, the package pile driver, and I do like it, and I always like it when it's pulled out, like Pentagon Jr. does it now, and whatnot. It's just a thing of how does this hurt any more than a regular pile driver? But you could say that about any aerial move and anything like that.
Just because the guy, the logic being is the guy is kind of stuffed into,
I guess he's getting pulled down into it or something like that, yeah.
But weird one that I like is the way that Mick Foley would do his, where he would pull on the trunks and just kind of
and sit out.
Do it super quick and kind of sit out with it. Yeah. So that
Jerry Lawler did the same thing.
Double arm DDT, and even the variations of that are some of my favorites. I mentioned the Tombstone. Pile drivers are, the one go-to thing I guess you can use. Even a regular run-of-the-mill pile driver, like you said, Jerry Lawler is another good one. High-flying moves, okay, if they're, if they look good, I'm okay with them. But, as far as filming a match with them and one after another, it's got to be done at the right time. Like I said, Hayabusa is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and it's not like he continuously jumped to the top rope to do them. He'd get the guy down and winded and on his back, and then he would maybe do a twisting senton onto the opponent, or the guy was worn down enough he'd hit a Firebird splash, or he would eventually hit the Phoenix splash. But it wasn't one continuous thing after another. He'd pick his spots, and he was kind of meticulous about it. But it's another thing to see a guy just flying around, going around constantly, and just
again, I don't mind that as much as some other people do.
Yeah.
just for the sheer I
think you
have
just
such
have
an
to wear-
appreciation for the athleticism of it.
I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong, but I think just it has to be there has to be a certain point where psychology has to come into play, and you have to get that guy worn down, perhaps I guess dizzied up a little bit before you're going to do a springboard into a twisting plancha.
Well, either that or it's a thing where you knock a guy on the ground, and as he's getting up, then you do it. And
yeah,
I like
exactly.
that. I do agree that ones that have too much setup, it can be an issue, but it still doesn't bother me. And I love watching guys like Jack Evans and A.R. Fox.
Oh,
and
that kick the other day was impressive.
The 360 kick?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Mean, just that's the thing.
The
it's
control,
man.
Yeah,
my suspension of disbelief is kind of counterbalanced by the fact of wow, these guys can do amazing things, and it just equals out in my brain. So I don't mind Lucha Libre and things like that, where there isn't as much psychology, but it's just they're doing incredible things. So,
I guess that in itself has a certain psychology to it.
Right.
It's a different style, and it's the fact that it is a different style is they know what they're doing with it. They're better off doing it than just. I mean, you have an American style where it's not used as much, but when it is used, it seems to be it's just kind of thrown out there. But
so before we end this conversation, maybe we can talk a bit about finishes we don't like very much. Do you have any in mind that you don't really like at all?
Do I have any that I don't like? I'm sure. You know what? Let's just speaking of luchadors. It's been touted as a finisher for years, or maybe even a setup to a finisher. The 619 became a little hokey. I mean, in the beginning it was kind of cool.
Fair.
I mean, use it as a setup move, fine, but I don't know. It's just to be used as kind of like a pseudo finish is a bit too much, I guess.
Yeah.
It was great to, I guess great as a finish to a precursor to the West Coast pop.
Yeah.
That was always, to me, that was always impressive.
So for me, there's a few. Not that I dislike the pedigree, but I don't like Seth Rollins using it over the curb stomp because I think the curb stomp's a better finisher. I also think Seth's version is as good. Again, I like the Dean Ambrose's headlock driver better than I like the double arm DDT, but the double arm DDT works for him.
I can agree with that.
I don't like the RKO. Here's why.
And people always tout that over the diamond cutter. I always enjoy the diamond cutter
so much better.
Yeah,
here's
because
the problem.
He grabs the guy, twists, and cranks him down. He doesn't jump up with it and coil himself.
Here's the problem with the RKO these days is the fact that it's the RKO out of nowhere. But the problem is that in order to hit an RKO and make it look effective and good, the guy you're doing it to has to cooperate with you so much that it just looks so unrealistic. Like when he catches the guy jumping off the top rope, I'm Dean Ambrose, and I'm jumping at you face first, even though absolutely nothing in this is in my moveset. No move that I do even remotely involves me doing this, but I have to jump forward at you now. And as a subset of the RKO, the biggest offender to me, Jay Lethal does it the most, although there's a lot of guys who do it. Phoenix does it in Lucha Underground, and I never like it, is the afterburner RKO, where they handspring into the ropes, come back, because it's just a thing of
lethal injection.
He's coming backwards towards you, and you have to go backwards as well. It just doesn't work. I almost understand a springboard stunner, even though John Cena's is terrible.
Oh no.
But in terms of momentum, because you're coming straight, your body is bending forward, you're coming straight down. Whereas with the RKO, you have to flatten your whole body out, so you have to jump backwards as the guy is coming backwards at you, and you want to talk about moves that defy suspension of disbelief. That's number one.
What's weird is I actually like the lethal injection, but I can see what you're saying, but it doesn't stop me from liking it.
No,
but,
that's fine.
Like I said, the RKO though, you're right. It's out of nowhere, and it's such a gimmick now that it's a meme everywhere.
Yeah,
and
I mean the Seth Rollins one was amazing, and that one
and
is one that kind of makes sense.
I was going to say RVD when he would take it, he'd go straight on his forehead.
Right,
it was sick looking.
If it makes sense, there's still some creative ones you can do, like when Evan Bourne did the Shooting Star Press.
That was great.
He's coming in that direction. It makes sense. But when it's a thing of I have to just jump face forward towards you for no reason whatsoever, then it doesn't work.
Like I said, if we're going to take credit away from that, I've got to give more credit to Diamond Dallas Page for his diamond cutter. Because it was, I felt a lot better. It was, he would literally hit it out of nowhere. He would
grab you and crank you down and pull you down with him.
He wouldn't jump up and coil up and like a spring and then land flat. He would he would grab the guy, twist a little bit, crank his neck down, crank his face down, and hit it into the mat. It looked believable.
Yeah.
It was devastating looking. And he would flapjack a guy. He would hit it. He would go,
he had a variety of ways to do it, but they all looked believable.
Do you remember that DDT that The Rock used to do, where he would wrap around the arms? He would hit it out of that. He would hit the Diamond Cutter out of that. He, he would put the guy on the top rope, run with it, just, like Randy Orton with an RKO, but it would look better for whatever reason. Yeah. And he would twist the guy around and just crank his neck down. Diamond Cutter. And that was the move that they said he can hit it out of nowhere. So where do you think it came from with Randy Orton? Exactly. It just kind of bugs me that every list that you see says the RKO is so devastating, it's so great, and then it's regularly rated above the Diamond Cutter, and it just doesn't make sense to me. But maybe it's because we live in an era where we've seen that regularly, and we're so far past it that, maybe we're aging ourselves. Also,
the AA sucks. And that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thank you for listening in. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Changing the Questions. You can catch Changing the Questions every Tuesday and Thursday. On Monday, we have Time Warp. On Wednesdays, we have Booking a Better Wrestler. And on Fridays, we have Let's Play TEW. Be sure to check out all of those videos over at our YouTube channel. You can also check them out at our webpage, www.changingtheqs.com. That's changingtheqs.com. You can also send us a tweets on the Tweetser at changingtheqs, at changingtheqs. Also search for us on Facebook. Be sure to follow us there. If you want to send us a good old-fashioned email, you can do so, changingthequestions@gmail.com, and that's gonna do it. For my partner, Mike Miner.
Word life.
My name is Paula Poor. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.